Hello all, it's Jaames Johnson, aka Blade. Welcome back to my channel, welcome back to my content, and welcome back to Heads Will Roll Reforged. And episode 3 of our Season 3 playthrough. Alright, in the last episode I think we finished off with getting toxicity from looting corpses. No surprise. We need to go see the doctor anyway to talk to her about Bartholomew. So that's probably where we're going to start off. Okay. About my wounded friend. Your friend is an extremely stubborn person. Only miserable bits of life remain in his body, but he clung to them as if with the grip of a wild animal. To be honest, another man in his place would have died long ago. That means that he'll be fine, doesn't it? I don't remember saying anything like that. More precisely, maybe he will be fine, but only if he gets treatment as soon as possible. He's on the verge of death, and any delay in his case can easily turn out to be fatal. I beg you tell me that you will treat him. All right, so be it. I'll take him upon myself, but we still have one major problem. Due to the overwhelming number of wounded, we have serious problems with medicines. There are simply not enough of them for everyone. The situation is worsened by the fact that your friend might develop sepsis. I think you understand what I mean. Just tell me what you need to save him and I'll get it. These are honorable words. But I'm afraid it's not that simple. Of course, I'll make a list of everything necessary, but not all that is needed can be acquired with a snap of the fingers. Otherwise, I would have done it myself. However, you're a resourceful person. Maybe you will find a way out. Quest added. Helping Hand. New recipe. Potent Medicine and Antidote 2. Medicine and water skin. Okay, we can do that. We should already have an antidote 2 on me. Yeah. I got everything you asked for. Are you kidding? Did you really get it all? Well, that's great. In this case, your friend's chances of making it out alive increase greatly. I'll take care of him personally, you can rest assured. Do not take this as an indelicacy, but since you can get those kinds of medicines, can I ask you for a favor? Together we could help treat many wounded. Yes, I can easily get more. I'm ready to do anything for you. This boldness catches Cecilia by surprise, and she raises her eyebrows. However, such an answer was clearly pleasing to her. She cannot hide it. I hope that the part about saving many lives would still motivate you, but I'm not going to lie, this answer is fine by me too. New recipe learned. Alright, what does she need? She requires potent medicine by 2, antidote by 2, and tourniquet by 2. Equip. Unequip. Chest. I need to sell some of this stuff to make some room here. Trade. Short pike. Rusty helmet. Old halberd. Better bracers. 2 iron, don't I? One weapon skill is... it's nice. I don't see me using it. We have 2 antidotes. We have 2 tourniquets. We just need to make the 2 potent medicines and we'll have it. It's 1. You managed to get everything I asked for. You can rightfully consider yourself a guardian angel of the English army, and I'm not the only one who owes you, but also a good half of the Royal Army. Okay, relationship improved with her, relationship with the soldiers is increased, and my virtue is increased. And another quest is down. We have a weapon talent point available? Yeah, it looks like it. I think we're gonna go with bleed. We should have enough rip with soldiers now that we can start sparring. Okay, what do we need for the sergeant? He wants... scabbards, and I think he wants boots. For now, we'll throw the scabbards over here. Tournament cat, a water scan, a bandage, an antidote 2. Put the wine on there. Okay, we got lots of inventory space now. That's good. Crankwin. Do we need this for some reason? I think we do. Cat ring? I've never seen this before. What is it? A rusted silver ring in the shape of a cat. Grants 1 guaranteed dodge in combat. 1 prestige. Alright, it's nothing special. Alright, well, we need the leather. Okay, we'll go to inventory. We will throw that into the crossbow slot just to free up the inventory space. It's not like we're going to actually be using it, but it'll come in useful, I think, here in the near future. To we're going to take it apart for a part, I think. Three, 4, no. Clear. Times 2. Okay. We should have what we need for that damn sergeant of ours. Huh. It doesn't like these sheets. Why doesn't it like these sheets? I don't have 5 leather on me. Alright, well, we're gonna travel out to scavenge. We got our fatigue recovery. Wandering around the countryside, you meet a group of travelers. They appear deeply worried, huddling around one of their companions who is lying on the ground. As soon as you show up, they ask you for help. Apparently their friend ate some kind of weird mushroom, which immediately made him feel unwell. His condition has gotten much worse with every passing minute, and now the poor man is dying right before their eyes. It's clear that without some kind of medical aid, he will lose his life in a matter of hours. Let's do it. You agree to help the man, treating him with medicine that you carry. The effect is instantaneous and his condition is already improving. Now fully conscious, the man thanks you for saving his life. As a token of gratitude, he gives you a precious ring from his own finger. Virtue is increased by 10. Signet ring. Alright, thanks. It's money. Couple pieces of leather. You say your goodbyes and part ways with the travelers. Okay, healing herbs. Couple more pieces of leather. Using your hunting equipment, you score some game to sell for money. Thanks to your talent as a huntsman, you manage to get some game for sale. Making your way back, you suddenly find yourself right in the middle of some sort of hunting grounds. And only sheer luck saves you from stepping on a huge bear trap, which could have easily torn your leg off. The rest of your way back goes smoothly, without any more adventure. Okay. 2, 3, 4, 5. Leather sheath. Penalties only apply when the scabbard is not empty. Alright, and what is it I have? I have scabbards. Huh. Okay. Doesn't sound like he likes the scabbards, so... Coin pouch. Ale or wine cheaper? They're both the same cost. Boost vitality by 7, recovers 30 fatigue. We're gonna buy all that. Only got one. Bummer. Canteen plus medicine's antidote. Should be antidote too. Okay. Nah. Got a butt ton of medicine. Anything else we can do with cloth? Tourniquets, right? that leather over there. Give the leather sheet to old boy. Okay, so one more sheath and we'll be done with that. Actually, we're going to ask the sergeant about this good equipment. Can you get me a armor? So with that armor that he gets me, I can combine it with the gambeson that I have in storage and probably accomplish the quest for the blacksmith. Or that's the thought process anyway. Okay, can we train coordination yet? No. But we should be able to spar. And now we're tired. We have a new talent point, huh? What to put it into? Well, we're carrying a hunting sword. Not that I think we're ever going to use it. I don't know if we're gonna ever be in part of the story where maces will come in useful. So there's sometimes some parts of the story take you into basically non-violent violence, where you have to knock out the person with a beat stick, which is a type of mace. I don't think we're gonna end up in that part of the story this playthrough. And I have no idea what the new stuff has in store. Maybe there'll be some non-lethal stuff like is in that section of the story, and maybe having some skill in maces might be useful. Or I could pick up skill in swords since I'm carrying around a hunting sword. I think we'll go this route. Really? Alright, we should be able to talk to the sergeant about the equipment. My men got something for you here. Alright, It's not the best, but I think it should be enough to get the job done. Okay, crafting, craft armor. Back, character chest, gambeson, transfer, back, crafting. Really? Oh, they're both on the same side. I really... Damn it. Okay, well... Oh, Aventail. Am I holding a... Yeah, I have a Chevrolet on me. Alright. Back. Crafting. Craft armor. None of these are opposite sides. Of course they're not. What do I need to be on that opposite side? I mean, a placard's not going to happen. Chest, transfer, back, crafting, Aventail, Chevrolet. Let's go ahead and craft it. Oops. Okay. 102 001. So this uses less stats. Gives us 15 armor, 70 cover. Compared to 17 armor, 84 cover. So this is technically stronger armor here. Neck armor 6, next cover 50, prestige 13. 650, 16 prestige. This is more prestigious. And it uses less stats. I'm tempted to use this instead, even if it is slightly worse head armor. I'm gonna use it just because it uses less stats and it's nearly as good. I still gotta figure out how to get these to actually work. Battle belt. Belts. Oh, this is a... This is the answer to all of my problems, isn't it? Alright. I'm spending money so frickin' easily. Leather armor. Alright. Something's gotta combine. Oh, the only thing I don't have here is chainmail. But this is chainmail, right? This should work just like normal chainmail. Okay, what am I trying to do? Crafting, craft armor. Nothing is showing up on the other side. Oh, what the... What is my quest again? Craft combined armor for the blacksmith with the following parameters. Torso armor not lower than 10. Torso cover not lower than 90. Limb armor not lower than 6. Limb cover not lower than 30. Prestige not lower than 7. I don't remember this quest being so damn difficult. Okay, well, we have more room in our belt, so let's deal with that. Water skin bandage, tourniquet, wine bottle. Antiseptic bandage makes sense. An antidote would make sense. Do we have a tourniquet? We do have a tourniquet. Yeah, I think we put the other wine bottle on. Can't believe I can't put this cuirass over the top of this chainmail. Alright, let's hold on to the gambeson. I don't know, hold on to the... cuirass. Get rid of these two. Bargain. Shortly after the start of the siege, the camp starts to experience small supply disruptions. As you find out, the cause is in the wagons coming from Dunkirk that got stuck due to the roads being washed out by rain. The king doesn't want to risk the morale and combat effectiveness of the army and gives the order to outfit detachments of foragers that will go to the surrounding settlements to collect food. Having distinguished yourself during recent battles in Cambrai and being already acquainted with the Earl, you are placed in charge of one of these small detachments. The sergeant gives you a map of the area on which several nearby villages are marked, places that you have to visit. While instructing you, the sergeant urges you not to show excessive aggression towards local residents, but also not to babysit them either. The soldiers need something to eat, and the peasants will have to share whether they want to or not. Also, he said one should always keep one's ear to the ground when dealing with the villagers. It is not for nothing that an old English proverb says, "In the woods there are fancy-ass pheasants, in the mud huts there are dirty-ass peasants." In addition, the sergeant advises you to take a good look at the surrounding places, and if you come across a place that the foragers have forgotten about and where you can still get a hold of some food, be sure to report it to him. For a reward, of course. New quest, Plain Sight. The Lord has heard your prayers. Fatigue recovery increased. Very nice. Okay, so how is my character looking virtuously right now? 62. If I was to replace one of these at the current moment to get a little bit more virtue, which is in the chest over here. Temporarily. For these next quests we're going to do. Village 2, Village 3. Start with Village 1. After about a 2-hour journey, you reach a settlement called Barfleur, located west of Cambrai. The village looks frankly poor, and one of your companions immediately says the peasants here probably don't have anything even for themselves. The peasant you come across on the way looks tattered and intimidated, and do not at all resemble wealthy people you could take something from. Taking a good look around, you find the village headman, whose words only confirm your observation. There's nothing to take in Barfleur because the locals themselves can hardly make ends meet. We're going to offer the peasants to sell their food for a small amount of money. Not wanting to bleed the people dry, but at the same time not daring to disobey the royal order, you try to find a compromise and offer the villagers to sell their food to you. Of course, there's no talk about buying at a market price, but at least some kind of compensation will clearly be better than nothing, and at least will allow them not to starve to death. After a little thought, the headman asked for 50 florins. We pay the 50. You pay the 50, the peasants out of your own pocket, and fill bales and sacks with what little you are able to find. My virtue increased by 15. Gold decreased by 50. On the way back, you overhear a conversation about two soldiers calling you a good Christian and thanking you for not making them take the last crumbs from the people. Reputation with the soldiers increased by 3. Alright, our virtue is quite high. So we should have no problem with the next step along the quest. Heading east from the camp, you soon arrive at a large village called Reforged. Large, clean houses and quite decently by the village standards, dressed as people immediately strike your eye. The locals clearly live very comfortably. However, you cannot get to the center of the settlement to have a good look. A group of armed people quickly block the road. An elderly man leading them introduces himself as the head of the village and suggests you get the hell out, stating that looters and foragers are not welcome here. Although the headman tries to avoid outright rudeness, he does not particularly choose his words, and one can clearly hear ill-concealed threats at them. The tensions grow quickly, and the soldiers, with their hands on their hilts of their swords and axes, throw questioning glances at you, eagerly awaiting your decision. We're going to try to reason with them. In an effort to avoid bloodshed, you try to reason with the villagers, explaining to them that if they refuse you today, then tomorrow half of the royal army will pay them a visit, and their houses would be leveled to the ground. Despite the frowning faces and disgruntled looks, the peasant clearly realizes that you are right and that there is nothing they can do. Virtue check passed. The situation is gradually cooling down, and after consulting with his people for some time, the headman agrees to give you the necessary amount of food. His only condition is that his village will be left alone. You are quite satisfied with this condition, and having filled the bags and baskets with all sorts of supplies, you turn back. Virtue increased by 5. Alright. Now for the next step. Inventory. Unequip that. Re-equip this. The question is, am I going to attempt to win it, or is that just silly thinking? Is it silly thinking? Not sure how many poisonous plants it takes. I think that might be enough. Where's the vial? Didn't I just buy a vial? We've poisoned our winged spear. As I'm thinking, I'm actually going to try to win it. I've never won this fight that I'm about to be going into. In an attempt to somehow brighten up the incredible gloom of everyday life in the siege camp, one of the knights from Count Sunderland's entourage is organizing a fistfighting tournament. Each noble lord will nominate a single champion from their retinue. When you bring the Earl the news about the upcoming tournament, he, being busy with the development of his ingenious plans to conquer the city together with the prince, does not pay much mind, and so he suggests to send you there. Being in good physical shape, you are used to feeling confident in fights, and therefore you're considering the opportunity to participate in the tournament. The promise of generous reward for the winner are especially tempting. And yes, I will participate. On reflection, you accept the Earl's offer and decide to participate. The gist of the tournament is quite simple. All fights consist of 3 5-minute rounds, according to the results of which the judge determines the winner who has delivered the most significant blows. Also, the fight can be ended prematurely if one of the fighters surrenders, is knocked out, or otherwise loses the capability to continue the fight. Your opponent turns out to be a big lad, Fulton Everly, a cavalryman from among the people of Lord Canterbury. Ideally described as a hefty chap, Fulton is almost more wide than tall and has remarkable physical strength. However, like most big guys, he certainly has stamina issues that will become apparent in the latter rounds. In any case, the fight with him will not be easy. Looking around large crowds of spectators, you notice Cecilia just a few seconds before the start of the fight, who watches with interest. You catch your gaze, but a moment later a gong sounds announcing the start of the battle and ridding your head of all extraneous thoughts. Yeah, we're just going to go right at him. Demonstrating your fearlessness, you start the first round with reckless close-ranged exchange. To the surprise of the audience, who expected that the big man would literally break you over the knee, the fight is almost on equal footing. Moreover, you manage to emerge victorious from most powerful blow exchanges at close distance. Fulton got his clock cleaned, and so he ends the round already unsteady on his feet. The advantage is definitely yours. We're gonna go right in after him again. You start the second round with a confident performance at close range. With a series of heavy body punches, you knock the air out of Fulton, forcing him to go into a deep defense mode. Most of his attempts to respond are extremely unconvincing, and by the end of the round, you have no doubt that the second segment is yours. Seeing that the enemy almost doesn't protect his upper body with his hands, you put all your remaining strength into one last strike, almost blowing poor Fulton's head off. The defeated enemy crashes to the ground and begins to show at least some signs of life only a few minutes later. As a result, you execute an excellent knockout, which brings you victory and a thunderous ovation from the crowd of spectators. Reputations with the soldiers increased by 15, and reputation with the Earl is increased by 5. The promised reward is not long in coming. Alright, let's go talk to I saw your fight. You look great. I never considered myself a fan of this kind of entertainment, but this time, for some reason, I was captivated. And I was rooting for you. Cecilia blushes a little and hastily looks away, and I'm very glad you're all right. You helped me out once again. I cannot find such words that would express my gratitude. Now it's obvious that this whole campaign turned out to be one big failure. Instead of getting easy money and carefree promenade through France, I ended up in blood up to my elbows and in mud up to my knees. But I met you, and it was worth everything. I remember that when we first met, you told me that a person's actions speak louder than words. I did not think much of it then, but now I fully understand what you meant. As a true knight, I'm obliged to follow the code of honor. Ah, for the love of God, drop all this knightly nonsense. Do you really think that I believed for a second that you were a knight? I saw your deception a mile away, but I also saw something else. Real character and dignity, as well as honor and valor, which a good half of the knights would be envious of. You're making me blush. Blush then. Blush as much as you want. Take off your mask and finally be who you really are. For what you hide under that mask is much more worthy of attention than your feigned image. Meeting you was a lesson for me. I used to look down from my high horse at those who are of lower than me in status. But you reminded me that there are things more important than descent. Thank you. I'd like to stay with you. Perhaps we could even spend the rest of our lives together. But I'm afraid it's just not meant to be. You don't need to be a fortune teller to see that our paths will diverge very soon. Very soon I'll be leaving the royal service to work for Bernard de Chatillon, one of the French king's barons. But enough whining. You will have plenty of opportunity to grieve in my absence. Now let me leave you a little something to remember me by. You receive Cecilia's gift. Alright. Do I have time to train again? I feel like I should. I think I should have time to train one more time. A well-known physician traveling on personal business stops at the camp for a couple days. He examines some of the wounded men and provides instruction regarding their treatment while also advising on improving the overall sanitary conditions at the camp. Vitality increased by 1. Alright, let's go get our butt kicked. I'm gonna give it a try, but I don't think it's gonna go well. You find a village called Conquez, a few hours southeast of the camp. As you approach the settlement, you hear the echoes of a not-so-French song coming from there, and you begin to feel that something is amiss. My mother told me someday I will buy a galley with good oars, sail to distant shores, you soon realize that your fears were not in vain. The village is already thoroughly plundered. By your own allies, no less. Those are mercenaries from among the people of Lord Canterbury, whose camp is located on the north side of Cambrai. A small group of mercenaries saddle their horses laden with all kinds of booty, loudly singing a song as they prepare to set off. You are not the only one who received the task of obtaining food, but the places for foraging were strictly distributed between different units. Having plundered Conquez, the mercenaries crossed into foreign territory, and they can probably get a serious punishment for such arbitrariness. Your arrival does not particularly baffle them. Only a few people seem to react to you at all, but they just get a better grip on their weapons while the rest continue to prepare the horses. As you step towards him, you are stopped for a second by one of your squad members. He quickly warns you against rash actions regarding the mercenaries, since quarreling with them is the quickest way to end up 6 feet under. Lowering his voice, he cautiously adds that the mercenary heading your way looks suspiciously like Ruffin, one of Count Canterbury's confidants, a man with a reputation of a ruthless cutthroat who has killed enough people in his lifetime to fill a graveyard. The comrade implores you not to risk provoking him, for otherwise you could easily become an addition to the list of his victims. The mercenary's expressionless face is covered in numerous scars, and his armor in chips and dents. He looks like a man who's been through 100 battles and stared death in the face more than once. His piercing gaze makes you uneasy. And who the hell are you, fleabags? It is your parents who are fleabags, and we are foragers from Earl Northampton's squad, arrived to Conquez to requisition provisions as ordered by the King of England. So unless you want to get in big trouble with serious people, have your men unload the sacks and drag them all here. We'll be taking it all. If you're fast enough, I'll do you a favor and won't tell anyone about this incident. I don't even know what is more pathetic, your insults or intimidation attempts. Although, come to think of it, I do. It's your appearance. Interested in the discussion, Ruffin's men and members of your squad come closer, forming a ring around you, and stripping the conversation of confidentiality. You look like a stinking swineherd who fancies himself a warrior instead of sticking to cleaning up manure. Watch your tongue. I'm here on King's orders, and I will not tolerate. You will. You will shut up, and you will tolerate. Tolerate that I called you a stinky swineherd in front of all your men, and the fact that we took provisions from this village, you will tolerate it too. And I also might just spit in your face right now, and you tolerate it all the same. And neither you nor any of your ragmuffin friends are going to do anything about it. If, of course, none of you wish to end up in the mud with the belly ripped open. Ruffin's hands rest on the hilt of his sword, eloquently demonstrating his willingness to fight. Isn't that right? I accept your challenge, sir. With a belly ripped open, you say? The mercenary's insolence has crossed all imaginable boundaries, and you're not going to forgive him for disrespecting you like that, especially in front of a few dozen people. You draw your weapon. I'll teach you to watch your mouth. Your reputation with the soldiers has increased by 10. I doubt it. Well, here goes nothing. Alright. As you can see, we're just a little bit at a disadvantage. Alright, we're going to go into defensive stance right away, and we're going to go to feint and just pray this lands. It did. Alright. We're going to go to recover this time. keep this green bar as high as it possibly can be. Okay, he's using his energy. We might have a chance at something here. Might. But what we're going to see is, yeah, you might have a 5% chance of landing something when I click this button. Well, not even a 5% chance. Okay, how about with keep at bay? Alright, we got something here. 49% chance to keep at bay. That's something. Spear thrust, 29% chance. You know, this might be the best chances I've ever seen at this stage of this fight with any weapon. We're gonna go for it. Deflected by armor. Deflected by armor. He, of course, damaged something. Alright, back to defensive stance. Recover. Ah, shit. Am I gonna try to win this? Is it even possible? Is it worth using stuff? Maybe I could injure his limbs. I hit him. He's poisoned. Holy shit, I hit him again. And he's bleeding. Damn it! The thought process in going for the limbs is if I could cause an injury, seeing as right now injury chance is increased by 40, if I can injure his arm, that would be wonderful. So I'm going to try it again. He's poisoned again. Arm muscle cut! He's still managing to hit me with an arm muscle cut. Fuck, man. Yeah. Weapon skill of 29. Man, that's insane. I've never beaten him yet. I'm feeling like I might have a shot this time. Okay, recover. We're gonna respite. I'm gonna respite again. Back to fresh. He missed. Yeah, I'm gonna respite one more time. Alright, I'm feeling good here. We've already done damage to... Can I get any... No. Not really. This is our best odds. So... I could go for the head here, which for sure bypasses armor since he doesn't have a helmet on. But the odds aren't very good. I could go for the body shot, but very good chance the armor is going to deflect it. Or I continue to go after limbs, which is really the least damaging place to hit, right? It's not going to kill him. We're very fast, if at all. We already damaged his arm. I almost feel like we need to try for the head. If I can keep this fatigue advantage, I might have a shot. I need him to actually swing and not hit me. That is way better. I'll probably get stopped by armor here. Yes! To everyone's surprise, the fight, which was expected to quickly end in your utter defeat, drags on. It has turned into a serious duel between evenly matched warriors, neither of whom is strong enough to gain the upper hand. Reputation with the soldiers has increased by 10. Hearing Ruffin's breathing grow heavier, you carefully prepare a decisive attack that could turn the tide of the duel. However, just as you're about to strike, a sudden burst of pain shoots through your leg. You lose your balance and collapse to the ground. Leg injury. Wincing in pain, you manage to make out its source. A treacherous attack from one of Ruffin's men, a foreign-looking mercenary of prodigious size. Ruffin, who maintained a cool head throughout the entire fight until this moment, displays visible irritation at the intervention. What the hell, Andreas? I don't remember telling you to do a goddamn thing. I had the bastard. It looked like you were in danger, boss. In danger? I was just playing with him. I haven't even drawn my second blade. It was amusing to see my own blood again. It's been a while. I was just looking after you, boss. We still have a lot of work ahead of us, remember? Ruffin quickly regains composure and his facial expression turns to the usual cold. After asking your men whether any of them still wish to voice any grievances and receiving no response, Ruffin shrugs his shoulders, turns around, and walks away in the company of his comrades. As he walks past you, he slows down for a second and whispers, "Welcome to the war, son." When the mercenary rides off, your comrades rush to you to administer first aid. Although you did not emerge victorious from this battle, the fact that you found the courage to challenge Ruffin has certainly increased your standing among your peers. Reputation with the soldiers has increased by 5. Virtue has increased by 5. Realizing, well, that there is definitely nothing worthwhile left in the village, you nevertheless decide to quickly walk through the houses. And immediately you come across an unpleasant surprise. Almost in every house you are greeted by the owners, with blank stares of their cold, dead eyes. Ruffin's men not only plundered Conquez, appropriating what should have been yours, but also slaughtered almost all of its inhabitants. And you've let them get away with it. You are well aware that the odds were stacked against you, yet you can't help but blame yourself for what happened. You swear that the next time you meet Ruffin, you will make him pay for his actions. New quest added, an eye for an eye. Your squad returns in complete silence. Upon returning to the camp, you are promptly escorted to the doctor, leaving Cecilia horrified by your state. When you attempt to recount what occurred, she shuts you up, telling you that you need to conserve your strength. The girl remains by your bedside for the remainder of the evening, tending to your many wounds. She is initially unreceptive to your attempts at conversation, but after a few hours, when your life is no longer in jeopardy, she relents. By midnight, you find yourselves engaged in conversation about everything under the sun. When you finally fall asleep, Cecilia sits next to you for a long time, watching over you. Relationship improves. Injuries healed. After visiting all the villages marked in the map, you return to the camp, where the sergeant is already waiting for you. Seeing that you are not returning empty-handed, he immediately brightens, praises you for a job well done, and promises to put in a good word for you with the Earl, and arranges an early promotion. Reputation with the Earl increased by 10, 65 florins. However, when it comes to counting the provisions you have delivered, the sergeant notices that it's clearly less than it should have been from 3 villages. In response, you also tell him about the encounter with the gang of mercenaries in the village of Conquez. The story is very perplexing to the sergeant, and he promises to report this incident to the Earl. EXP for completing the quest, plus 20. Impressed by your service and accomplishments, the Earl decides to promote you. You've been promoted to Man-at-Arms. Okay. I now have 97 of 100 prestige. I maxed out rep with soldiers. Pretty high with the Earl of Northampton. I seem to have toxicity that needs to be cured. Why wasn't that taken care of when I was with her earlier? At least it's free now. Okay. I still need to find her a sword. Useful hobbies. Still need to make that other sheath. Alright, I need to go talk to Ava about my failure to uphold my promise. Perhaps I should greet you as a hero. At least this is the opinion of the population of Barfleur and Verchevel, the only 2 villages around here that have escaped looting and burning. In both of those places, according to the peasants, you were present with your detachment. It seems that a promise given to a lady is not just empty words for you. I will remember that. Your actions clearly show that honor and human life are more important to you than gold. However, it would be strange on my part not to reward you for your deeds. Moreover, I'm sure these decisions took a toll on your career. Take this as a token for my gratitude. Strength, agility, endurance, coordination, vitality. Brakes have taken off. I mean, yeah, that's a lot of stats. It's 10 stats. It's pretty good. 10 stats is really a pretty good trinket when it comes to stats. But I'm still not going to use it. But what happened in Conquez? The surviving residents spoke of a band of English cutthroats. I know who they were talking about. I arrived too late, so the villains were able to get away. However, I know who was behind this, and I will make sure that man will be punished. I'll make him pay for what he did to your people, rest assured. I believe you. I pray that retribution befalls those damn marauders. Anything decent to buy here anymore? Am I gonna need this? I don't think I'm gonna. Alright. Done with Ava. Let's go ahead and spar. We've unlocked another talent. A page comes looking for you. He tells you that the Earl requests you for some important matter, and then you should report to him immediately. Ah, Jaames Johnson, glad to see you in one piece. Yes, it's sad that even with such brave men as you, luck still doesn't turn to face us, and we continue to hang under these damn walls. However, all is according to the will of God. As for you, you showed yourself excellently during the assault. I think my increased respect for you will be an excellent reward. Reputation with the Earl improved by 15. Don't risk it and say thank you. Well, thanks for nothing, I guess. The Earl decides to promote you. You have been promoted to Sergeant. Alright, well, now that I've been promoted to Sergeant, let's go talk to the Sergeant so he can let me know that I'm still under his boot. Ha! Who's that I see? God strike me now if it's not our new Sergeant himself. You grow fast, lad. Can't keep up with you. Just yesterday you were bare-ass militia, and I barely had time to wipe your snot up. And look at you now. That's a big man right there. I'm very happy for you, son, but try not to let it get to your head too much. Even though you and I have the same rank now, you better get it through that thick skull. If the Earl's squad is a pond, then I'm the biggest and fattest fish in it. And if it's a swamp, then I'm a huge mean toad sitting on a hefty water lily surrounded by tiny frogs. I croak, you croak too. I want to catch a mosquito, you've already grabbed two. I'm going to dive into the water. You've been waiting for me at the bottom for half an hour. Remember this one simple rule, and you'll never have any problems. I'm the boss here, and you're just a little... an errand boy. Deal? Deal. That's great, and I'll make sure that you are treated with the respect you deserve. Okay. I'm gonna re-roll this a couple of times just to see if maybe something will be available. Wolf's head pendant? What's this? Aventail. Yeah, we're just wasting time here. Oh my god, are you kidding me? Oh! that's fucked up. So you can click on solo practice and it says, no, you can't do that because, you know, you're already at 10. But it'll let you click on sparring and waste your freaking... Oh, that's just wrong. That's so wrong. Alright, on to the next step. The air in the camp fills with tensions as the English army is getting on for the second decisive assault. The initial plan of a lightning-fast campaign and fast advance into the French territory as envisioned by the king is not just at risk, it's about to come apart at the seams. Any delay can result in incalculable risks. Reports from the farthest centuries indicate that the French king, Jean II, is already pulling in troops from all across his realm to the borders of the province. That means thousands of knights, including the very best of the French chevaliers. Lingering at Cambrai for one more week would pretty much spell doom for the English army that will find itself stuck between a rock and a hard place, with impenetrable city walls on one side and French king's ironclad heavy cavalry on the other. Seeking to delay the advance of the French troops and buy more time for another decisive offensive, King Edward allocates about a quarter of his troops to Thomas Marshall, a prominent English commander, to intercept and set back Jean's approaching forces, not yet joined together into one unstoppable army. This bold move leaves no doubt that the events of the several upcoming days will decide the fate of the campaign. The tension quickly spreads from lords and knights to sergeants and mere soldiers, and when the time for the assault comes, the whole army is on edge, with every last man understanding the weight of the situation. Alright. I used something. What did I use? A bandage. An antiseptic bandage, I believe. Alright, here we go. Learning their lesson from the previous failed attempt to storm the city, the English begin the assault by barraging the walls from all the available siege engines. This time, however, the barrage is not chaotic and is only aimed at several spots considered to be the weakest. Tattered by the siege, the fortifications can barely withstand the onslaught. Soon several fragments of the walls start to crumble, creating gaps in what previously seemed to be an impenetrable defense. The southern wall, which has suffered some of the most devastating blows, collapses almost by a quarter, creating a way into the city. Observing this, the king declares that that section as the main attack direction and orders the infantry to advance. Reluctant to risk his best men right away, Northampton orders his most competent soldiers, including you, to stay back and let the militiamen pave the way. Reputation with the Earl ranks success. Right, I won't argue. Having spilled enough of your own blood in previous battles, you're happy to oblige. After about an hour and a half of wait, a courier arrives with the news that the southern wall has been pretty much entirely captured, but the attacking force has been bogged down in the street fighting. The king immediately orders reinforcements to head towards the southern wall to aid the militia. The second wave is led by the prince himself, who has been told by his father to come back either the victor or a dead man. Entering the city through the collapsed wall, you arrive just in time for a French counterattack. And with the first wave already being bled dry, the task of repelling it falls on your shoulders. Right, what are we looking at here? It's got a poison weapon. Other than that, not very scary. His weapon skill is actually higher, but he doesn't have a poison weapon. Starting right off with a possibility to hit the head and bypass the shield. Let's do it. We evidently have an armor situation here. What about killing the other guy? Totally doable. If I do this, he's going to block me with the shield. He didn't. Alright, well, we'll take that. Here's a sword that might be worthy to give the young lady. It's not the most amazing sword, but it's not a rusty old piece of crap either. And in fact, it's a smaller, shorter sword, which is probably perfect for her. Even though the French counterattack ultimately results in failure, it manages to delay you and earn the enemy more time. Now, instead of a dozen disorganized men, the entrance to the city is protected by a fully assembled shield wall. Immovable as a monolith, it easily repels one English attacker after another. Winded and bloodied, with each failed attempt, your allies are less and less eager to continue pushing forward. In the absence of volunteers, it falls to you to lead another charge. Alright, I noticed for whatever reason, I'm not fully healthy right now. So let's use one of our medicines. Alright, can we faint strike around a shield wall? It seems like it's possible. Interesting. Do we go for the head? Or do we go for the limbs? Let's go for the limbs. Alright, that's a nice headshot. Take it. Caused to bleed. Is that Bartholomew? It is. Uh-oh. Bart. Oh, Bart. I can't let you die. Can I use items on him, I wonder? I don't think I can. neck. Hang in there, Bart. Blood loss. You know, this is maybe the easiest I've ever killed the shield wall. Though I've had a couple of really fast cracks at the shield wall on other occasions, true, too, though. This seems to be going pretty smooth. Almost as smooth as whenever I use the axe to devastate the shield wall. Got it. Fighting like a lion, you almost managed to single-handedly do the impossible, to break through the wall of shields formed by the French. Reputation with the Earl increased by 10, virtue increased by 15. Attacking over and over again, you incapacitate one enemy after another, inspired by your courage, other soldiers begin to fight more boldly, and now the prince is able to launch a new powerful attack that sweeps away the French defenses. This time there can be no doubt the enemy is fleeing. The city is almost taken. Several bodies lie on the battlefield. Would you like to? Of course I do. What a silly question. Okay, yeah. Look, the Swordmaster's ring. Isn't it? Wait. This is the Shieldmaster's ring, not the Swordsmaster's ring. Well, that's not useful for me. Okay, the victory almost slips through your fingers, so you can hardly believe your own eyes as the tide turns around. After several long months of siege, the town is finally taken. You were among the first English troops to enter the town, so you were able to take great spoils of war. In the evening, the king holds a big feast in honor of the victory. It has been a long time since you could relax and unwind like this, and it dawns on you that you are doing not half bad, actually. Unlike many of your comrades in arms, you're still alive and active, and in good standing with the Earl, who's open to promoting you. This positive thinking leaves you with a strange new sensation that was not there a moment ago. Confidence. You fall asleep, fast, and sleep well. For Edward's plan, the victory at Cambrai should have been the opening to proceed inland. No one planned to stay in the captured town for long, but what happened the next morning was exactly what everyone was trying to avoid. French colors appeared on the horizon. The king realized that his army needs time to recover and makes the unexpected decision to harbor his troops in the town and its outskirts, expecting the walls to do him as good a service as they did the French. In just one day, you turn from the besiegers into the besieged. The king knew about the French getting closer, so the arriving army was no surprise in itself. Their numbers, however, appear to be much higher than expected. The initial willingness to give battle to the French now falls into uncertainty. By staying several months at Cambrai, the English army has lost its main advantage, pace. Now there's no way they can move inland and crush the French piecemeal as initially planned. You find yourself locked in a badly damaged town that was nearly turned to ruin mere days ago. By good fortune, the French also appear to be reluctant to attack despite their numerical advantage, so the assault that was feared from the very moment they appeared on the horizon did not come to pass. In fact, the French did not even bother to encircle the town, content with blocking main exits and establishing patrols over the rest of the perimeter. More surprising news is that the monarchs got around the table to negotiate peace. Whether the negotiations will bear any fruit remains to be seen. You've received a salary in accordance with your new rank, and you've received a bonus payment in accordance with your prestige level. Alrighty. After the capture of the city, most of the lords and commanders of various detachments of the Royal Army rushed to seize all the most prominent and wealthy buildings of the city to make them their makeshift residences. In an attempt to snatch a bigger piece of the pie, the lords immediately started squabbling over the houses of the richest merchants as well as the city hall. The appearance of the French army on the horizon did not in the least temper anyone's ambition, and the disputes of the lords results in several bloody skirmishes between their people. It was possible to put an end to the brewing storm only after the personal intervention of the king, who resolved all the disputes himself. Lord Canterbury was the most aggressive participant in these clashes, actively challenging the role of the Earl and his people as heroes of the last assault, and trying to secure this title for himself. However, despite the groundlessness of such claims, the king took his side in the dispute, allocating the city hall as his residence, one of the richest and most beautiful buildings in Cambrai. The Earl, on the other hand, got a house of one of the wealthy merchants as his residence. A very decent place, but clearly not even close to falling within the definition of the best in the city. Despite the obvious reasons for dissatisfaction, the Earl did not express any negative reaction in public, demonstrating that he would not dispute the king's decision and is satisfied with it. And now, having arrived at his residence on orders, you find him in a good mood. After exchanging greetings with the Earl, you follow him into one of the inner rooms of the mansion, where the prince is already waiting for you at a massive table heaped with maps, papers, and documents. And here he is, the reliable person you asked to bring. Ah, Jaames Johnson, my boy, the conqueror of Cambrai himself. Good to see you, James. As you yourself should understand, we called you here for a reason. There's a very important task that requires a smart person to carry it out. Of course, for an appropriate reward, my liege. You can always rely on me, but only if I can rely on you too, if you know what I mean. For a second, an awkward silence hangs in the room, and you already begin to regret what you said. However, after exchanging meaningful glances, the Earl and Prince both grin. Reputation check passed. He is clearly not that stupid, that guy. You bet. I wouldn't trust him with our business otherwise. You're right, James. If there is a matter, then there must be a reward. Moreover, you have already shown yourself capable more than once. Digging in his pockets, the prince fishes out a small clinking pouch and tosses it on the table in front of you. 75 florins. Well, as you can see, you can definitely rely on me. Now it's your turn to prove yourself, so listen up. According to the prince, despite the seeming inevitability of a big clash with the appropriate French army, in reality, neither side wants to initiate a battle. The hastily assembled French army is far from being as strong as it might seem at first glance. The King John himself doubts its strength more than others, whereas Edward's troops are exhausted by the long siege of Cambrai, which turned out to be a much more difficult and bloody endeavor than he was planned. In addition, the defeat of Thomas Marshall's detachment, which was previously sent by the king to delay the advance of the French and buy us time for the assault, turned out to be extremely painful for the English army. Edward understands that by and large the military adventure he has started has failed, and there can be no talk of any continuation of it. He will have to be content with only the booty that was taken in Cambrai, and the plundered environs of the city, as well as the political successes. The French in this situation are also quite willing to settle for the restoration of the status quo and the retreat of the English back to their homeland. Moreover, the parties have already begun negotiations on signing an armistice treaty, and it would seem that the war could be considered over. But not everything is so simple. It is important for both parties to save face in the negotiations, and no one's going to yield. You should understand that we have few trump cards left now, and therefore it's vital to come up with at least something that would tip the scales in our favor when it comes to negotiations. Do we have a plan? We always have a plan. One of the key people in the French army is William de Roche, an old war dog and the right hand of King John. At his prime, he alone shed more blood than all the knights of England put together. He's the one who actually stands at the head of the forces of King John. He was also the main reason behind the victory over Marshall's detachment, grinding a quarter of our army into powder in one battle. But more importantly, de Roche is almost the only force that holds together the patchwork that is the French army. If he disappears for some reason, their nobility will immediately quarrel amongst themselves about titles, positions, and rewards, as it would actually have happened here as well if it was not for my father, who rules with an iron fist. However, that's not the point. Without de Roche, their army will slowly but surely fall to pieces. And that means... The prince looks at you pointedly, as if urging you to continue his phrase. That means that it is time for him to meet his ancestors. Exactly. Fortunately for us, de Roche has already looked death in the face 100 times and is used to laughing at any danger. Every morning he starts by detouring the French positions, and in some places rides up to the walls of the fortress a little closer than he probably should. The task is simple. Shoot this son of a bitch. It would be quite problematic to make such a shot from a bow. Therefore, it's better to find a good crossbow and some heavy-duty bolts. It would be even better to smear them with some rubbish or poison to ensure death when hit. You, as I see, are not that stupid, and hardly plan to spend your whole life running someone else's errands. Take this as an opportunity to prove yourself. It doesn't matter to me who will shoot and from what. If you are confident, do it yourself. If not, find a good marksman. I think there are enough of them in the army. The main thing is that de Roche must die. This is the only thing that interests me, and this is the only thing that should interest you. This assignment is not just a whim of mine. This time, the initiative comes from you-know-who, and there should be no failure. Is it clear? Of course, sire. That's great. Also, I think I don't have to remind you that if you miss or hit him and he survives, then this precious opportunity would be lost forever, because de Roche won't make the same mistake twice. Don't let me down. New quest added. For whom the bell tolls. Alright. First thing we need to do is go to trade. Oh, look, a page's sword. How much is it? Yeah, we're gonna buy it. And we're gonna get rid of the short sword. Poor man's pouch. The windshield. I no longer need to hold this cross. Plaid mask could come in handy. Get rid of the rabbit's foot. I don't need the leather boots. Don't need the shield's master's ring. I want this. And we'll get rid of this and this. Surely I can combine this mail armor with something. What is this oak leaf talisman? A form an oak leaf. Lowers incoming shield damage by 70%. Alright, we need this leather. Alright, crafting. Leather, 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 leather. What? No, 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 no. Leather, leather, leather. Craft that. Oh, now I get to. Thanks. Okay, back. Camp activities. Socialize. Sergeant. About those boots and sheets. Hand over the sheath. Great. Reputation for the soldiers improved by 5. Virtue increases by 5. Well done, lad. I knew I could count on you. If the Earl mentions your name, I'll let him know that you helped us. I honestly don't expect him to mention it, but that's another story. The cost of ordering items for the sergeant has been lowered. XP for completing the quest plus 20. Alright, ask the sergeant if he knows any good crossbowmen. Earl loaded me with another of his errands. Ah, is it something very important again, isn't it? Let me guess, he's out of wine again? Nice try, but I'm afraid this time it's indeed really serious. I'm on an urgent need to find a good crossbowman in the camp, capable of making an accurate shot at a long distance. At a very long distance? We have a lot of good crossbowmen, but judging by your tone, I think you're looking for someone really special, right? Bullseye. This shot will be difficult, and there will be no second chance. I need someone I can fully rely on. Yeah, this is quite the task. But we're no strangers, so I'll give you a hand. I will find you a marksman, come around and see me in a couple days, and I'll suggest the most suitable candidates. Alright, now let's go see our lady friend about that sword. Oh, did you get it? Show me. I got a sword. I fulfilled your request and got you a sword. Great news. Despite your questionable appearance, for some reason I immediately realized that I can rely on you, Sir Knight. What a beautiful sword. Thank you. As for your reward, here, I believe this might prove useful in the coming days. Coagulant and medicine. You happen to get wounded? These medicines should help hold on for a bit. Long enough until you can come under my care. Alright, now for crafting. Craft armor. Oh, well, I need the other armor. Okay, back to character, chest. Transfer. Transfer. Back. Crafting, craft armor. Really? Okay, now it works. The question is, limb cover 40, limb armor 9, torso armor 15, torso cover 100. And with this and this, and 58. Surely this will do it. Craft it, please. Alright, back. Go find that blacksmith. That wasn't exactly... yeah, okay. I have to admit, you're kind of good at this. It's always nice to work with people who know their stuff. Hit me up if you want some more work. By the way, got some interesting stuff in my hands at times, usually leftovers from unfulfilled orders. Come take a look. Perhaps there might be something you're liking. Any new orders? You're just in time. A good friend of mine asked for a favor, but I'm awfully busy. Here's the situation. The lad just got married, like a week before the campaign began, so he'd really prefer to return home to his young bride, not only alive, but with his face intact. He was doing well until a couple of days ago when that fool lost his helmet while crossing a river. Now he sees any kind of serious action, he might end up royally screwed. As you might guess, the helmet he lost was not your average steel cap, so replacing it is not exactly a 5-minute affair. That's why he asked for my help. I was under the impression that scars decorated a man's face. He seems to be overreacting. A couple of well-placed scars might indeed add a bit of manly charm to a soldier's face, yes, but fleshy holes instead of nose probably won't. Unless it is your face that we're talking about, of course. And don't even get me started on the eyes. Imagine returning home to your wife blind, never being able to see her again. Not that there's much to look at in his case. I've seen his girl, and, well, she's a bit of a plain Jane, to be honest. But her face is pretty cute. I'll give her that. Different strokes. Whatever. So here's what we need. A helmet with a minimum of 14 armor and a high coverage. Let's say not lower than 70. Everything else doesn't really matter. Okay, 1470. That should more than do it. The helmet's ready. Let me see. Great, very nice job. What do you want to repair? Oh, I have to take it off, don't I? My inventory's full. Yes, it is. Alright, let's fix that. Snake poison. Oh, it's not poison, it's just an ingredient for poison. Spare crossbow string. Alright, well, need that. Back, character, chest. Oh no, inventory. Unequip. Back. Camp activities. Socialize. Blacksmith. Fine. Alright. Partially. $31.50. Yeah. See how it went down, didn't it? Leather. I'll throw the crossbow string over there, the oath, the mask. That piece of leather. Poison for now. How about the coagulant? One of those and one of those. Okay, lots of space left now. Camp activities, socialize, talk to Bart. Shiver me timbers, it's our new sergeant himself. I heard you run errands for a big dog now, His Majesty the Prince. Look at you go. Currying favors not the most enjoyable experience, but for us, who come from the very bottom, there are no other options really. Just don't forget your good mate Bartholomew, yeah? When you become a knight, or lord, or earl. What's new? Any news? News, huh? Actually, there is some. I finally might be making some progress on the love front, if you know what I mean. Oh yeah? Who is he? Ha, very funny, mate. I'm trying my best. Alright, so who is she? Well, there's this girl, a merchant's daughter. I wouldn't go as far as to call her spoiled, but she definitely ain't messing with no broke knaves. Shouldn't that count you out by default? Not if I make the right impression. I'm pretty sure that I can get her the right present to thaw the ice. But that kind of drains my funds, and this is where I might use your help. I'm not sure I quite follow you. She won't even glance at me as long as I look like a grubby foot soldier. I need to, you know, dress up. Maybe even dress to kill, one might say. Sorry to disappoint, but I'm neither a tailor nor a fashioneer. Relax, brother. All I'm asking is for some clean and nice-looking clothes. A pair of fancy shoes, perhaps an elegant belt, or an ornate cloak. Hell, I'd even settle with a hat with a feather. Sounds doable, I guess. See? Piece of cake. Almost forgot. I also need some bling. Some what? Christ almighty, some bling. Like maybe a ring or a chain or something? I saw some rusty old chain near the barn the other day. It might still be there if you hurry up. Very funny, mate. You know what I mean. You won't let me down, right? I'll see what I can do, I guess. Great, I'm counting on you. New quest added, Dress to Kill. Alright, first thing we're going to do for Dress to Kill is go to Bartholomew. Oh, hey there. The capture of Cambrai, the vanquisher of the French. Let us all bow down in honor of thine unparalleled martial prowess. Relax, hero. I'm just kidding. I heard you got a handsome reward from the Earl. Got a couple of coins to spare for your old pal? Trade. Alright, let's see. The last guy who said stolen, yada yada yada, right. So he has this here hunter's hat, which is a fancy hat with a feather sticking out of it. Who would have known that he had the item he needs? Okay. Pack. About that outfit. Hand over the hunter's hat. I still need a chain or ring, remember? Chain or a ring? What's in the store? Serpent pendant. An ominous pendant depicting a twisted serpent imbued with occult symbolism. Injury stats to buff increases poison damage dealt, decreases poison damage received. Doesn't sound pretty. This is the problem with this quest: is you could buy all kinds of stuff and it won't count. Poisonous winged bolt. Other curious. Soldier's question. Fletcher's tools. Alright, before I go searching through all of this and re-rolling a bunch of stuff, I'm going to have another quest I'm going to need to basically search for stuff with. So I can do 2 birds with 1 stone, if so to speak. So let's go talk to our good old sergeant about a good crossbowman. How's the search going? Oh, let's keep my word, boy. Done as promised. In Count Sunderland's war party, there's this fellow by the name of Vittori, an Italian mercenary. Go find him. He looks like a typical southerner. You can't miss him. They say that Vittori is a marksman gifted by God himself. During the last assault, he got one of the French knights through a gap in his visor from 300 paces of a distance. If he cannot shoot the shot, then not a single person on earth can. Right, Vittori. As the sergeant promised, locating Vittori among Count Sunderland's men proves effortless. His distinctive Mediterranean appearance makes him easily recognizable. Impressed by your reputation, Vittori agrees to help. According to the Italian, making such a shot with an ordinary crossbow would be problematic. One would need to be inventive. Vittori claims he'll take care of most of the preparations. As for you, you'll need to get 2 things: a crossbow trigger, as well as a sturdy bowstring from a particularly powerful crossbow. Vittori goes on to mention that obtaining the components is your responsibility, and that he can't be bothered to assist you in that regard. However, he does add that you could at least However, he does add that you could, as a last resort, try to fashion something from makeshift materials or remove the required components from another crossbow of suitable design. Hand over the crossbow string. I don't. Oh. Assembling and crafting. So that will get me that. And I already have the string. So I'm going to need a Fletcher tool. Chest, string, transfer, back, trade, Fletcher tool, buy. Yeah, I'm gonna buy this mail armor. Just because it's there. Alright, back. Socialize, Vittori. Disassemble. Oh, I need to take it out of my inventory. Back, character, inventory, unequip. Trigger mechanism crafted. Okay, we should have the... Here, hand over the crossbow string. Hand over the trigger mechanism. After the necessary components have been gathered, Vittori spends several hours modifying the crossbow. Once he's satisfied with the calibration of the weapon, he signals that it's time to head to the Falcon Tower. Alright, trade. I want this winged bolt. This pendant should work for our goals. The Saleh. No. Great work, mate. Thanks a lot. I just wish me luck. Alright. I have some talents to assign. Allows you to visit a brothel for free 3 times per chapter. Every 4th visit to the brothel within 1 chapter would increase your endurance by 1. Huh. Didn't realize that was the case. Alright, let's get this. And we'll get Casanova as well. And we'll grab that weapon talent. Right, now then... I don't have the poison on me, of course. I want to see what he has for equipment. Yeah. Too bad. Okay. Okay, in the chest we need the poison. Inventory. Apply. In inventory, winged bolt. Okay. Camp activities, socialize. Actually, quest and travel to the Falcon Tower. Also, you can clearly see William de Roche making his daily morning detours in the French position. However, now standing on the tower, looking down, you clearly understand that hitting him from such a distance will not be difficult, but incredibly difficult. And it's not just about the distance and the moving target, but also the strong, fickle wind, which can easily throw the bolt off its trajectory. Shooting with a light crossbow is out of the question, and you should ditch hunting bolts. You obviously need something heavier. And you should probably find a more experienced marksman as well. Okay, hiding early in the morning at one of the embrasures of the Falcon Tower together with Vittori, you look out for Sir William, who is about to appear on the hillock near the camp. After a few long minutes of waiting, you notice a stately horseman leisurely circling the perimeter of the French camp. You hand the poisonous bolt over to Vittori. The Italian carefully loads the crossbow and comfortably stations himself at the embrasure, throws up his weapon, and prepares to fire. Vittori is in no hurry and aims for what seems like an eternity. You already wanted to snap him out of it, but as soon as you open your mouth, there's a click, and the bowstring throws the bolt forward with a whistle. The calculations turned out to be perfect, and the bolt hits the target, throwing the rider off the saddle and to the ground. Kicking up a cloud of dust, he rolls down the hill to the French tents. "It's done," Vittori says, grinning. "That's how we shoot in Italy." Before descending from the tower, you pause for a short while to observe the enemy camp, which is rapidly plunging into a grand commotion. While you come to the Earl to report on the completed mission, he takes your success for granted, stating that he did not expect anything less from you. Reputation with the Earl has increased by 10. As a thank you for the work done, he gives you a small bag of coins, 75 florins, and he sends you on your way. The Earl promises to personally deliver the good news to the prince. He further notes that this one unfortunate shot may have just turned the tide of the campaign that had seemed lost. Learning that you used a poisoned crossbow bolt to assassinate de Roche, Northampton praises your wits and gives you an additional reward. Reputation with the Earl improved by 7, and 100 florins have been received. EXP for completing the quest plus 20. Impressed by your service and accomplishment, the Earl has decided to promote you. You've been promoted to Squire. Okay. Train? Can we train coordination yet? Yes. Good. Now then, we're gonna visit the brothel. You visit the brothel to relax and indulge in the pleasures of flesh. You lost 0 florins, virtue lowered by 15. The visit seems to have taken a toll on your health. Toxicity slightly increased. Well, it's a good thing I know a doctor who works for free. Doc, I went to the brothel. Thank you. Alright, time to train. Train with the coach. Let's add some coordination. Oh, I can't, can I? How about some endurance? let's go back to the brothel. Let's get rid of all of that virtue. Train with coach again. Can I do agility? Can. Let's gamble. Pray. Drink. Okay, but vitality increased by 2. Train again with the coach. Too exhausted. Your habits of looting bodies of slain enemies for anything even remotely useful becomes widely known among your comrades. The fact that you always get the best spoils does not sit well with many of them. On one occasion, a group of half a dozen approach you in camp, eager to have a talk with you. Surrounding you from all sides, they give you a friendly pat on the shoulder and remind you that the war is a team effort, and since one soldier cannot win a battle alone, all should not claim all the loot for themselves. Thus, they conclude that it would be greatly appreciated if you recognize their contribution and, just as God decreed, share some of the wealth with the fellow colleagues. Okay, you agree with their point and share some of your money with them. Reputation with the soldiers increased by 15, virtue increased by 15, 100 florins lost. Supply disruptions adversely impact your health. Strength lowered by 1, agility by 1, vitality by 1. Screw you, supply. Back to that brothel. Toxicity seriously increased. Doc, can you take care of this, please? Thank you. Now, if it's 4 visits to the brothel is supposed to do something for me. You visited the brothel to relax, indulge in pleasure of the flesh. You lost 40 florins instead of regular workouts have a positive effect on your endurance. Endurance increased by 1. Okay. Cannot increase agility anymore? Okay, am I missing any quests here? Eye for an eye, plain sight. So agility is maxed. Coordination maxed. Endurance is maxed. Shortly after the murder of William de Roche, the Earl summons you to his place, expecting to get praised. You are very surprised to find the Earl and the Prince very annoyed. Bad news, James. Fate has turned its ass on us again. This bastard de Roche has survived. What? But sire, I saw him with my own eyes. How a crossbow bolt hit him. Even if the wound was not fatal, then he definitely should have died from the sepsis. And the poison? Yes, I don't know what you saw there, but de Roche is alive, and that's a fact. But how? My spies in the French camp reported back this morning. King John sent for the best doctors from Paris. The wound is serious, but not fatal. Personally, I assume the fact that we even managed to hit the target to be a miracle in itself, given the distance and difficulty of the shot. When you assume, you make an ass of you and me, boy, and nobody asked you, by the way. This is not a miracle, but a well-thought-out plan. And well-thought-out plans are what we have in abundance. These words make your blood run cold. The French think that by hiding de Roche in their camp, they have made him safe. But no such luck. We'll get him there, too. And to be honest, judging by the information that we have, he is in very bad condition and may not make it anyway. Especially considering his age. I think it's his age. When I got to my first war in Scotland 2 decades ago, this son of a bitch was already covered in battle scars from head to toe, and was considered the best warrior on the continent. He simply destroyed us at Bannockburn. Out of the entire Royal Army, there were only your father, me, and 100 soldiers who managed to survive. Yes, those were the times. He took many lives, but today, the bell tolls for him. And that means that it's time for de Roche to visit his ancestors. For him, you say. Send not to know for whom the bell tolls. It tolls for thee. Yes, we all meet our end, sooner or later. Lord, have mercy on our souls. Given the pace of the campaign, it may well be that your generation will have to continue to wage this damn war, or even your children's children, huh? Okay, back to the point. This issue with de Roche needs to be resolved. It almost worked out the first time, so it'll definitely work out the second. As already mentioned, we already have developed a plan. We've planned everything this time. There will be no slip-ups. So listen, According to the scouts' reports, Desroches is stationed deep inside the French camp and is heavily guarded. It would be impossible to sneak in. According to the Prince's plan, the group number one will distract the French. Late at night, a large English detachment will launch a diversionary attack on the French camp and try to set it on fire. When the battle ensues, the English will begin to retreat, creating a false sense of success to the enemy, which they will almost certainly try to develop, withdrawing even more forces from their camp. Under the cover of all this confusion, the second group will sneak into the camp, and then will need to quickly get to Desroches' tent and end him. In this scheme, you are assigned the role of the commander of the second group. You will lead your people to the camp and find and kill Desroches. A great plan. I think so too. Well, I don't. Thanks for sharing your opinion, Jaames. We'll be sure to reach out to you if we need any more of your peasant insight. You can go now, Jaames. Go get ready. Great. So, am I going to kill him this time, or am I going to spare him? I don't know. If I spare him, that could lead to the French path, which I don't plan to take. If I spare him, that would lead to the war ending. But will I end up getting a mercenary offer? If the troops like me, yes. But if the Earl likes me, he'll want me to come work for him. Oh, he'll want me to come work for him if I successfully kill Desroches, right? And if I don't successfully kill Desroches, he may not want me to work for him. So if I don't kill him, but yet somehow keep the troops' opinion of me high, I should get a mercenary job, which I think is what I want to do. Is this feasible? Or have I botched it up already? Soldier's reputation. Well, both of the reputations are already maxed out. What does the bathhouse do? That's what it does. I haven't scavenged. Should I scavenge? I mean... nah. Let's just go to the French camp. As you prepare to carry out another insane plan made by the Earl and the Prince, you can't get rid of the thought that this whole venture is simply a suicide mission. To sneak into the heart of the French camp, kill a well-guarded target, and then manage to get back sounds difficult, if not completely impossible. However, you obviously have no choice, and at the appointed hour, when the English troops start the diversion, you, at the head of the small detachment, are preparing to break into the enemy's camp. I'm missing an inventory item. Not sure what it would be. Wine, maybe? Okay, we have a water skin, we have a bandage, tourniquet, and an antidote, an antiseptic bandage, and a wine bottle. Put another bandage in. Much to your surprise, you manage to get into the camp without fanfare. Reluctantly, you have to admit that the prince's idea seems to actually be working. As you reach the tent where the injured Desroches is said to be in, your luck suddenly runs out, as the entrance is well protected by a group of heavily armed warriors. You have no time to mess around. If you have to deal with the guards, you must do it fast. Otherwise, they will find reinforcements, and that will be the end of you. You attack with a battle cry. Alright. What are we looking at? Weapon skill 12 and a poison weapon. Weapon skill 10, poison weapon, and a crossbow. Okay, I can get around his shield. There's a fair chance at getting the neck. Either we go for the for sure hit the limbs. That won't kill him. A neck shot probably won't kill him either. I think we go for the for sure in the limbs. Well, this guy is low on energy. Can we hit him with a powerful thrust? He doesn't have a shield. We can. A good chance of doing some decent damage to the head. Let's go for it. Let's go to defensive stance and recover. Okay, my buddy lost his shield. Bye-bye. Okay, should be able to finish him off, I think. Yep. You know, these fights are going fairly smooth. This spear is actually working out fairly well. Under the cover of utter chaos, you manage to deal with the guards before anyone can make heads or tails of it. Do you loot the bodies? You know it. Get. Proceed. Your comrade stays outside to cover the escape route, so you enter the tent alone. The insides of the unexpectedly spacious premise are illuminated by just a few dim rays of moonlight. You make out a human figure lying on a large bed surrounded by numerous vials of medicine and bottles of decoction. The darkness makes it impossible to clearly distinguish his facial features, and the situation does not allow any delay. Your comrades remain at the tent entrance, urge you to hurry up and get rid of DeRoche as soon as possible, so that you can run away from the buzzing hive that this French camp has turned into. You decisively go up to the man, planning to cut his throat in one swift movement and disappear into the night right away. However, there's something that could not have been predicted. Moonlight reflects off the blade of a dagger going towards your throat. From somewhere on the side, another figure, hidden by the shadow, suddenly attacks you. Despite the advantage of surprise, the stranger's attack is inept and you easily dodge it. After that, you throw the enemy to the side with a powerful kick, and as if made out of paper, the stranger immediately loses his balance and falls to the ground with a groan. A woman groans. Ava? I can't let you do this. I'd rather die. What the hell are you doing here? The man you were sent to kill. He's my father. Your father? This cannot be. You said that your father is Guillaume de Lambert. And this is William de Roche, the right hand of the French king. William is Guillaume in the English banner. Guillaume Godfrey de Roche, 3rd Comte de Lambert. My father fought in Scotland against the English king. There among the English, the name William de Roche stuck with him. What the hell? Tears begin to run down Ava's cheeks. Please, I beg you. He's all I have. And if you kill him, then I swear to God, I'll either stab you in the back with a knife or I'll kill myself. For whom the bell tolls. The war started by the old men who try to settle long-forgotten scores with each other. Widely opens its insatiable bloody mouth to devour first them and then their children and the children of their children. Do you know what will happen if you kill him? The war will only flare up with renewed vigor. My father strikes fear into the hearts of the English lords by his very presence. As long as he's alive, they will not dare to openly compete with the French army. But his death will untie their hands. Lord, you don't even seem to understand what you're doing. Today you'll slit his throat and come back a hero. Do you know what will happen tomorrow? Your beloved king will deliver a beautiful speech that victory is now at hand, and all that remains is to crush the decapitated enemy army. And you and your friends will be the first to attack and the first to die, having received nothing in return for your life and without having understood anything. You are just a pawn in this game. Standing before the unconscious Desroches and his crying daughter with a sword in your hand, you involuntarily recall the Earl's words from the war, which is destined to last 100 years, and which even the children of your children will have to fight. Perhaps Ava's right, and some orders are really better off not being followed. The real question is, which path am I trying to get to? If I kill Desroches, I'm pretty sure that locks me into being stuck with the Earl and ending up going back to England with the Earl. I don't think I'm given an option of doing anything other than that. And if I spare him, I think I lose favor with the Earl, allowing me to end up going the mercenary route as long as the troops still hold me in high regard. I think I have to spare him. Realizing well that you would most definitely regret it more than once, you lower your sword and take a step back. It seems like the unambiguousness of the movement lifts a rock from Ava's chest as she exhales, heavily pouring out a chaotic and semi-coherent stream of words of gratitude. Relationship with Ava improves by 50, virtue increases by 20. She tries to hug you, but loud noise from the outside sobers you up, and so after throwing a farewell glance at her, you rush away. You tell your comrade that Desroches was not in the tent, and instead of him there was some other noble doofus. The information received from the spies turned out to be incorrect. There's no time to continue the search, and all that's left for you is to get back as fast as you can. The news of your failure causes great dissatisfaction. The Earl makes it clear to you that by failing this crucial mission twice, you have severely eroded his confidence in you. Reputation with the Earl lowers by 25. Reputation with soldiers lower by 25. The Prince does not exert severe criticism, but points out that the night's diversion to distract the French has cost the British army about 100 brave warriors who did not come back. And now, thanks to their lives, have been wasted. More horrible, though, is that the failure of this gambit further confirms French army's upmanship. The only recourse is for Edward to negotiate peace, and obviously on far from the most favorable terms. This whole speech leaves a weird aftertaste. On the one hand, you have just put an end to the possibility of successfully completing a military campaign. On the other hand, however, you seem to have just saved thousands of lives. EXP for completing the quest, plus 20. Actually, sell that, that. Kite shield. An hourglass? What's this? Need to empty the chest because I think we're about to be at that point in the chapter. I need to free up some inventory space. I don't think I need the plague mask this run. This is useful for if I was to actually kill the roach and go back with the Earl. I think in the Windsor fight you end up in like a poison dungeon area. If you wear the plague mask, that can help you get through that fight. I don't think I need this. So we will sell it. The Oath, again, it's a cool trinket. Really cool trinket, honestly. It's not worth a lot, but I need the inventory room. Gonna sell this extra cloth, the leather even. There, that should leave us plenty of room. And what are we going to do with the last little bit of time here? Is there anything to talk to the sergeant about? No. I think we'll go pray. Really? Wasn't enough time? Alright. Let's hopefully we made the right choice in sparing DeRoche. Let's find out how this plays out. Failing to kill William DeRoche puts an end to any hopes of defeating the French with a decisive military action. Over the next week, several English lords, unwilling to admit the unfavorable outcome of the war, test the strength of the French through multiple skirmishes near Cambray's walls. None of them were of any real significance, though, and there's no serious success for either side. As DeRoche gradually recovers and regains control over the army, with each passing day the French troops become more and more militant, proving the seriousness of their intent and forcing Edward to speed up negotiation. A formal truce was conducted shortly thereafter, ceasing active fighting. The siege had not yet been uplifted, really, but high-ranking English commanders and knights, as well as the retinue, were allowed to move freely through the town gates in and out. While the patrols were still there, the arms were still kept at the ready. It is clear to everyone that a full-fledged peace treaty was around the corner. As per tradition, a peace treaty ending hostilities between the two kingdoms is followed by a joint hunt, attended by both kings. This time the hunting grounds were chosen to be the forest west of Cambrai, an area owned by the de Lambert family. Among the 50 noblemen on both sides who were to accompany the two sovereigns, naturally there was the Earl, who decided to take you along as a bodyguard. The royal hunt looks seriously just like a regular one, reminding you of the times your father would take you along on them. The only difference is that you and your father had never decided the fate of the entire continent while stalking a boar. Also, ale and wine did not flow like a river exactly. You were enlisted as a guard, but this duty feels like you're a hodman so far as you accompany the Earl, who keeps his retinue somewhat at a distance from the king and their retinues. All you do is bring bottles full of wine in return for the empty ones and reload crossbows. In the constant commotion around you, you keep spotting familiar faces among the noblemen covered in silk and gold. Just ahead is the prince who's accompanying the king. The king, it looks like, are more thrilled by the hunt than the tiny legal detail of the peace agreement. The Earl interchanges remarks with DeRoche, who barely escaped death, recalling the war in Scotland. From the sound of it, they managed to scare each other more times than one. Thomas Marshall, who had been defeated by DeRoche, has been set free and now laughs loudly over something with the French commander of Cambrai, who had been taken captive during the last assault and also granted freedom. Count Sunderland, the hand-to-hand fighting enthusiast, is exchanging whispers with Count Canterbury, the leader of the mercenaries that were assembled for this campaign from every corner of Europe. Just behind Lord Sutherland is Fulton Everley, whose hide you tanned just recently. Looking around, you can take this for nothing but a peace negotiation between the leaders of two armies that just tried so hard to erase each other. At the third hour, you start being pretty wary of gimme this, gimme that kind of requests. Every now and then you take a few good sips from the bottles you bring to your superiors, gradually losing focus and having difficulty understanding who is where. A loud outcry jerks you out of the languid state. Turning your head in search of the source of the noise, you are surprised to see people around you beginning to fall to the ground, one by one, wheezing. Still gathering your wits, you stumble over a huge body that has just collapsed to the ground in front of you. As you rise from the fall, you recognize it as Fulton Everley. His face is covered with blood, and there is a crossbow bolt sticking out of his throat. Sobered by this unexpected sight, you jump to your feet, just to find yourself in the middle of mayhem. Around you is the most confusing fight you've ever witnessed. Only with great difficulty can you tell apart likely allies from likely foes. Both Earl Northampton and Prince Edward are nowhere to be seen, and the only, at least somewhat familiar faces belong to Count Canterbury, who's surrounded by a bunch of his men, is fighting with the bodyguards of the French king. Having finally distinguished friends from foe, you immediately join the battle. Okay, powerful thrust to the body. Looks like a good option. Let's go for it. Let's go to defensive stance and recover. Alright, powerful thrust to the body one more time. I missed! 96% chance miss, huh? Damn this game. Alright, recover. Alright, we got a headshot. We're gonna try the headshot. Defensive stance, recover. Get around the shield. Well, I could hurt his arms or take a gamble on the neck. Let's go the safe route, go with the arms. Ah, shit. Okay, defensive stance, recover. Recover again. God damn it. Recover yet again. Guaranteed for the limbs, or roll the dice to get a big hit on the neck. Let's go the safe route. Alright, we should be able to get a big hit here. Yep, neck. He's dead. Do I loot the bodies? Indeed. We're about to be facing honest to God knights. I think we should probably rest. Powerful thrust to the body. Maimed. Very nice. Recover. I think we got a fairly good chance of ending this right here. Oh no! Now let's go for it again. Yeah, I'm gonna search this time. Knight's bracers. And a Sele. $10.25. So less limb cover actually, but more armor. More prestige. Not much though. You know, I'm staying with these. A chaotic fight in the forest quiets down just as suddenly as broke out. Just a few moments ago, you were in the thick of battle, exchanging furious blows with enemies, and now, just like that, everything was silent. Looking for any kind of familiar face, you awkwardly wandered back and forth, tripping over tree roots and dead bodies. After a while, you stumble upon a large group of men who are encircling a body laying on the ground. In one of the figures, you recognize Prince Edward, standing a little further away from everyone else, with a bloodied sword in his hand and a devastated gaze. He doesn't look like himself at all. In another figure sitting beside the dead body, whose face is still obscure, you recognize Northampton. Surrounding them are knights and lords, some of whom are still breathing heavily, with blood seeping down their armor and weapons. Still having no idea what's going on, and not daring to break the silence of the nobles, you freeze, patiently awaiting. Luckily, you don't have to wait long, as the silence is interrupted by the Earl. Standing up and turning to the prince, he raises his sword in the air and loudly says, "The king is dead. Long live the king." After a moment's hesitation, the crowd surrounding them follows his example, and their shouts echo throughout the area. An opportunity to get a full picture of what exactly has happened during the hunt is given to you only after some time, when the Earl finally bothers to provide you with at least a brief explanation. As it turns out, the peace talks were nothing but a ruse of the French, who came up with an unthinkable villainy, an attempt to assassinate the English king, as well as all of his most loyal lords. The wine was spiked with some kind of poisonous brew, with which they intended to incapacitate the king's entourage, leaving them defenseless, but by some miracle their poison hadn't worked. That left them no choice but to draw their swords and try to take the king's life with steel. Further developments didn't really require an explanation, as you've witnessed everything yourself. The king was killed in battle, but the prince, as well as the rest of the English lords, survived, rendering the enemy plan only partially successful. And yet, as it turns out, the king's death was enough to sow the seeds of discord in the English camp. Now the whole army found itself pretty much split in two groups, with some of the lords, primarily Canterbury and Sunderland, insisting on continuing the war, while the others, led by Northampton and Prince Edward, insisted on suing for peace. At first glance, their stance might have seemed cowardly, but according to Earl Northampton himself, things were not as easy as they seemed. In his own words, the desire to seek peace with the French came not from cowardice or excessive friendliness, but rather from the fact that in this particular case the French were not the real enemy of the English crown. With a number of clues pointing not at a French soldier, but at Count Canterbury's mercenaries as the real killers of the king. These accusations were also reinforced by de Roche, who once again somehow managed to emerge unscathed from the chaotic battle in the forest, and almost right after that had several private meetings with Northampton and Prince Edward. Being in charge of all royal mercenaries, Count Canterbury oversaw the vast finances that the crowd spent on the military service. On top of that, he had the right to a substantial part of any and all war spoils due to occupying one of the key positions in the army. Thus, even a peasant could make a pretty logical conclusion that the timely death of the king, who was about to make peace with the French, indeed benefited Canterbury much more than anyone else. I'm just remembering something. So I spared de Roche. I wasn't given the option to fight or spare a French knight to allow me to do the French route. I'm confused. Shouldn't that have happened during that fight? Anyway, after several days of intensive thinking, filled to the brim with countless meetings with variable nobles and exchanging numerous messages with the French, the prince had finally come to a decision. A decision to make peace. Many people reacted with indignation to this turn of events. However, despite all efforts of the support of Count Canterbury, there was still no mass discontent in the army. Exhausted by a long and rather unsuccessful campaign, the majority of the soldiers and commanders were eager to return home, albeit without much war spoils. After hearing about the conclusion of peace, Count Canterbury's spitting unsubordination left the army, and with a small detachment of his people, immediately left for England. Sensing danger, Prince Edward hastily concluded all of his affairs on the continent, dismissing mercenaries and handing over what remained of the army to Thomas Marshall, whom he had instructed to return the men home as soon as possible. After that, the prince, accompanied by his closest retinue and Earl Northampton, rushed back to England. Having earned both the prince and earl's respect during the course of the French campaign, you received an offer to join them and continue your service as a squire. Wait, what? Really? Oh, I can refuse. After brief but careful consideration, you decide to turn down the offer, as you have no desire to be dragged into the capital's whirlpool of intrigues and conspiracies. Clearly disappointed by your decision, Northampton and Prince Edward, however, immediately accept it, making no attempts to change your mind. Having thanked you for your service, they now, for the last time, bid you farewell. With the king dead, and Canterbury, Northampton, and Prince Edward now gone, the discipline in what remained of the English army took a serious change for the worse. Bands of mercenaries assembled for this campaign, with prospects of generous war spoils, all of a sudden found themselves without a leader and without war, but with a bunch of unfulfilled promises instead. Considering themselves betrayed and lied to, They started deserting the army en masse, flooding the neighboring regions, and spreading a wildfire of small-scale wars and skirmishes all around this part of the kingdom. Thomas Marshall, left in charge of the army and unburdened with considerations regarding the well-being of France, decided to simply ignore the departure of mercenaries and concentrate his thoughts on getting the remains of the forces first to Dunkirk and then by sea back home. The mysterious death of the king, followed by an abrupt conclusion to the war, with England pretty much abandoned all of its continental allies, brought a collapse to the pre-war alliance. This resulted in the Flemish fleet refusing to aid in ferrying Thomas Marshall's forces back to the island, leaving this job to the much smaller and battered English fleet. I just realized I forgot to help Bartholomew with his love interest. Whoops. Thus, the forces had to be returned home in very small portions, with many soldiers forced to spend the winter in Dunkirk while awaiting their turn to go home. You also turned out to be one of those men. By that point, the supplies were all but gone, and you were pretty much left to survive on your own. It is during this period of seemingly endless waiting that you received several offers at once. One of them comes from Brittany's Lord, the Duke Montefort, who is gathering troops to restore order in his lands. And the other is from the Republic of Venice, which has been actively building up its land army for confrontation with its eternal foe, Genoa. Representatives of the Duke de Montefort promised you a cushy job and rich spoils, while recruiters from Venice offer a solid salary and service in the mild Italian climate. Well, I'm going to go to Venice. You accept the Venetian offer, and together with a group of other soldiers of the Royal Army who have also decided to try themselves as mercenaries and have chosen you as their commander, you head south. The journey lasts for over 2 months, and while you're on the road, some of your companions contract a serious illness. You, however, are not affected. Vitality endurance check passed. When you arrive in Venice, you are struck by the beauty of the local site, but you don't get to stay long in the floating city. Along with many other captains of mercenary squads recruited from all over Europe, you stand before the Venetian Doge, Andre Contarini, and sign an official contract for a year of service. Shortly thereafter are sent to the vicinity of the city of Treviso, north of Venice itself. In the instructions received from the command, you are ordered, due to the small size of your squad, to join a larger company led by Rolando de Rossi and take up the post of his deputy. After that, your responsibilities include keeping order and maintaining the combat capabilities of the detachment. You don't find any mention of upcoming expeditions or campaigns. Thus, expectations of adventure, danger, and rich loot are shattered by the reality of routine garrison duty. Chapter 4: Blood and Wine. We've reached the. Am I going to get a chance to save here? The instructions received from the Doge require you to inform Rolando de Rossi of your arrival. Surrounded by a large number of new faces, you have to build your reputation among your comrades in arms anew. Reputations with soldiers decreased by 80! Holy crap. You have received a new rank, mercenary. You have received a salary in accordance with your rank, 115 florins. You have received a bonus payment in accordance with your prestige level, 143 florins. Here we are. Well, this was episode 3 of chapter 3 or not Chapter 3, but Season 3, our third playthrough basically, of Heads Will Roll Reforged. And this is my first time in this new Venice thing. I have no idea what's about to transpire. This will all be new to me. I will no longer have forewarning of what's about to happen, as everything from here on in is going to be brand new, guys. So that's going to be pretty fun. Anyway, I'm Jaames Johnson, aka Sulfurblade. This is my content. Hopefully you're enjoying it. If so, please smash that like button and consider subscribing. And until the next time, all, peace.